The air was thick with tension as a group of friends, Jack, Emily, Chris, and Olivia, walked down a narrow path leading into the dark woods. The full moon barely lit the way, casting eerie shadows. The sound of rustling leaves and distant animal cries echoed through the trees, but they ignored the noises, joking to mask their fear. "Come on, don't tell me you're scared," said Jack, the bravest of the group, as he led the way with a flashlight. "You know the stories, Jack. This place is cursed," whispered Emily, her voice shaky. "Those are just old legends," Jack replied, dismissing her concerns. "We're just here for fun." As they walked, Olivia kept looking around nervously. "I don't like this," she muttered. Chris, the skeptic, laughed. "It's just your imagination, Olivia. Stop being such a baby." They walked deeper into the woods, their footsteps crunching against dry leaves. The forest felt alive, watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake. Suddenly, the air grew colder, and the flashlight flickered, casting an unsettling glow. "Did you guys feel that?" asked Chris, shivering. "Stop being such a baby," Jack joked, but even he seemed uneasy now. The group paused. There was something strange in the air, a palpable sense of dread. Olivia looked at the others. "We should turn back," she said, her voice trembling. Before they could, a low growl came from the shadows, followed by rustling in the bushes. The group froze. Then, the sound came again, closer this time. Jack turned the flashlight towards the noise. A tall, thin figure emerged from the shadows. Its skin was pale, glowing under the moonlight. Its eyes were black pits, and its mouth twisted into a grotesque grin. The group stood paralyzed in terror. The figure's bony hand reached out, fingers elongating like claws. "What the hell is that?" Chris whispered. It can't be real," Emily murmured. The figure moved closer, its steps slow and deliberate. As it came into the light, they could see its face, frozen in agony. Its mouth opened, revealing jagged teeth, and it let out a sound like nails on a chalkboard. The group backed away, but their feet felt stuck. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't move. Suddenly, the figure lunged, grabbing Chris. He screamed in agony as it pulled him into the darkness, his body disappearing with a sickening crack. "Olivia, run!" Jack shouted, but he too was paralyzed with fear. Without thinking, Olivia bolted, running faster than she had ever run before. She could hear the figure behind her, its breath cold on her neck. She dared not look back, but she could feel its presence growing closer. Her heart pounded as the trees seemed to stretch, making the path more twisted. She stumbled over a fallen branch and crashed to the ground, gasping for breath. She got up quickly, fear coursing through her veins. The creature's footsteps grew louder, and it was closing in. Just as she thought she couldn't run any longer, she stumbled into a clearing. The moonlight illuminated the area like a beacon. She fell to the ground, breathless, but then she turned to look. The figure was still there, standing at the edge of the clearing, watching her. Its grin widened, and it began to move toward her. "Please, no," Olivia gasped, tears streaming down her face. Just as the figure reached her, a bright light flashed from behind. A voice called out, sharp and commanding. "Leave her alone." A tall man appeared in the light, holding a silver cross. The figure recoiled at the sight of the cross, screeching in pain. The man stepped forward and raised the cross high, causing the figure to writhe and scream as if burned by the light. The man spoke again, his voice firm. "Begone, demon, and never return." The figure let out one final screech before it vanished into the air, leaving behind the smell of decay. The woods were silent once more. Olivia, trembling and exhausted, crawled to her feet. The man lowered the cross and approached her. "Are you all right?" Olivia could hardly respond, still in shock. She tried to speak, but her voice failed. The man nodded, as if he had seen this before. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly, helping her to her feet. "This forest is cursed by the souls of the lost. Those who enter never return." Olivia's mind was reeling. She glanced back at the spot where Chris had vanished and thought she saw movement in the darkness. She quickly looked away. As the man led her out of the woods, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was following them, lurking just beyond the light. The path ahead seemed endless, but with every step, the weight on her chest began to lift. When they reached the edge of the woods, the man stopped. "It's not over," he said quietly. "They will come again." Olivia looked back once more. The trees seemed to sway, and deep in the forest a low growl echoed. The haunting was far from over.